All right, we're going to keep things moving here on Radio Boss, joined by a young lady, as a matter of fact. And if you watched last week's Mary J. Blige's Real Love on Lifetime, you're probably going to enjoy this Saturday's Strength of a Woman, 8 p.m. That's 7 Central on Lifetime. But you've seen her in many other things, including BMF, where she played the role of Kato. She is Ajiona Alexus. She joins us here on Radio Boss. Ajiona, welcome to the program.
What's up? What's up? Thank you for having me.
Absolutely great to have you. So even before we talk about this, because I had a chance to watch Mary J. Blige's Real Love, but I want to talk, can I start talking about your music?
Let's get to it.
Yeah, how is that kind of coming along?
Oh my goodness. You know, music is my heart. Actually, I think people don't know I started off doing music before acting. And I come from a musical family. You know, my family sings in the church all the time. We get together. It's a must that you know how to sing. And so I think just now I'm glad that the world is able to join me on my musical journey, because I have just so many projects, you know, lined up and songs I've been working on. So the music is me. Like, it tells my business, it tells all my secrets, and I'm excited for the world to finally be able to take it in with me.
Now, the last song I heard and saw, actually saw the video for Same Mistakes. Have you done something since then?
Absolutely. So Same Mistakes, that was my first single that I wrote, and so personal to me. I love that song, and I actually just released my next single, Made for Me, on June 9th, and it's going to premiere on Strength of a Woman on June 17th. And so you guys can stream that right now. And like I said, my music, it tells it all, and it's definitely a big part of me. And yeah, y'all make sure y'all go stream it, run it up. It's out right now on Apple, everything, YouTube.
Yeah, but how exciting is that? Like, it's great. You're right. YouTube, Apple, all of that, all the platforms. It's great for the music, or that song specifically, to be on that. But how much more exciting is it to be on Strength of a Woman and people to be able to hear it via that film?
All right, yeah, you know, it's iconic, it's classic, it's groundbreaking, and I have to give thanks, you know, to the whole team, Mary's team, who even helped me, you know, get this placement on here as well. And I think, you know, even with her song being turned into a movie, just as Real Love, you know, songs that we all grew up with, your generation and my generation, it's opening up doors not only for musical artists, but also actors, you know, as myself, to be able to kind of do 2-in-1. And it's not putting you in a box, it's not limiting you. And I think we're just opening up so many doors for the artists that's, you know, coming up after us. So it's definitely big. We're making history right now, and I'm just glad to be a part of it.
Ajiona, did you just call me old?
Did
you just call me old?
Of course not.
But no, but like, okay, so in the like, I remember I was like, when Mary J came out, I was like 18, so I am kind of old, right? But no, that was my favorite. Like, you remind me, like, that was her first single. I get it, but my favorite song by her of all time is Real Love, right? So what's your favorite? I mean, Mary J. Blige is such an icon. What's your favorite song by her?
I'm gonna do the cliche Real Love too, you know, and I think it's more dear to my heart now that we have, you know, a whole movie surrounding it. And I went through a whole experience for a couple of months filming this. How was it for you watching, you know, this be turned into a movie, like you said, growing up to the song at the age of 18?
Let me tell you, like, for me, and to me, what it spoke to me is real love doesn't have to be perfect love, number one. Number two, I was so engulfed in the film. I didn't equate the film to the song at all. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It just, the film, there were so many different twists and turns to this film. The bougie parents, that threw me off the most. You know what I mean? Like your co-star, of course, Da Vinci. I mean, but I really enjoyed the film, but I didn't correlate the film with the song, though, for me.
Yeah. But you know, I think it's so dope because it, like I said, it's a whole different way of storytelling. Usually when people have their music and things, they're doing a biopic. And I'm sure it relates a lot to Mary's story in different ways, but it also just shows a different way of telling stories, you know, and not putting it in a box, and also being a voice for the HBCUs that are out there right now. Because, you know, I study a lot of the Janet Poetic Justice in the 90s, Nia Long, and, 97, Jada Pinkett and Inkwell, Sanaa Lathan and Love and Basketball. What I love so much about this film is that I could see everything I watched them do and study incorporated into this film for our generation. And hopefully, it also shows young girls that's going to be freshmen this year or soon to be what to expect. We don't have a lot of films that even prepare you for college and school. And hopefully this movie is also a voice, not only for our community and the arts and film and television, but the young women out there that's getting ready to go off to college.
You said a whole lot right there, especially when you mentioned quite a few of those names, Nia Long, Jada Pinkett, et cetera, from the 90s. That's been a couple of generations ago, but now you're one of those kind of stars that are on the right. Like, what does that mean? I know you're doing the music also, but you're like in this dual thing with the music and the acting.
Oh, it's so iconic. Like, this is something I've worked for my entire life. I'm also 10 years in my career right now. So to finally see everything I've worked so hard for come to fruition, it just feels, it makes me cry, honestly, watching it and knowing that I am that next wave and I am that next trailblazer. Like I said, these women have inspired me so much and they've opened up doors, and I hope my journey is doing just that. And I'm always very, selective when it comes to what roles I take and what I'm leaving behind, what the message is taking. So the fact that I could do a 13 Reasons Why to a Acrimony that you were speaking of, or Breaking In with Gabrielle Union, who I adore so much, and then come and do a 90s classic. I mean, this is just, everything of what I see my career being like, diversity. And I hope that, it just keeps expanding from there and not, being put in a box saying you could do music, acting. It just, keep opening up all those doors.
No doubt about it. Ajiona Alexus joins us here on the program. Strength of a Woman premieres this Saturday, 8 p.m. 7 Central on Lifetime. Of course, last weekend, you'll still be able to watch on Lifetime. Matter of fact, lifetime.com. Mary J. Blige's Real Love as well. Can you speak to specifically the role you played in Kendra and who she is? I thought you did a great job. I mean, you and Da Vinci did, and you all sort of reunited there from your BMF days. But take us. What I've seen it, but explain to everybody else what Mary J. Blige's Real Love is about.
Real Love is it's a coming of age love story. It's the journey of finding real love. We all get so, bought into the character of Kendra because she's so likable, relatable, determined, and strong, loving. And to me, just a true definition of, strength and resilience, and just of the youthful innocence when we're transitioning from living at home with our parents or wherever, into stepping into a young adulthood. And so you can just relate to her on so many different levels, and being able to embody that in the life challenging scenes that we see Kendra go through is, like I said, is a voice for a lot of women. And I had a lot of fun playing it, or a fun time playing it. And most importantly, having my co-star Da Vinci right there on the side of me. I think the chemistry is obviously there, and the internet was going crazy. Like, oh my God, they're just like, we capture your hearts. And I love that it shows the life of women on college campuses in the 90s back, during the HBCU time. And it has all the twists and all the turns, and it just shows you that no one's exempt from life. You watch this young lady go through life so blindly, but I think most importantly, you watch her overcome it. So it's definitely a powerful story for our generation in our time right now.
She had a whole lot to really overcome in that film, a whole lot. And you hit on something which is apropos. I got my HBCU shirt on. I'm a Morgan State graduate.
Hey.
Yeah, and we're in Raleigh, right? So Hammond is the school. It's a fictional school, but it's in the state of North Carolina. And I like because HBCU is hot right now, and I like that Mary sort of brought the HBCU dynamic into it. Can you kind of speak more to that and maybe your experiences with HBCUs?
Well, I didn't go to an HBCU, but I think what's so important about the story and the fact that it's telling a story that's happening on an HBCU campus is because if you look at, surrounding that time, especially when we touch on sensitive topics and issues such as sexual assault and substance abuse, you have, your Asian parents, and like you said, Ben's privilege, and we have Take Back the Night, who we partner with. But, back in the 90s, it was 86% of rape victims who actually knew their offenders. It was someone you knew, someone close to you. And a lot of times it had to do with alcohol and being drugged. And 90% of those cases involved that. And so the fact that we were able to partner with Take Back the Night, I think is what made it so powerful. But in reality, in the 90s on the HBCU, they didn't even have Take Back the Night. And so I like that we, of course, tried to keep it authentic and real to the story, but we also show now that there are organizations out there that can help those who are going through it till this day. And I think you can sympathize with Kendra so much because even, in the scene, nothing really happens to her offender reg. You're just like, that's all. And like I said, I'm glad we had the Take Back the Night event, but even then you didn't even have that. So it just gives you a harsh reality of what women were going through back then and how unsupported, unprotected, unheard, unseen that they were at that time. And it's a big movement that I'm being able to just be the voice, not only for right now, but, women that came before us who didn't have any of that, my grandmother and, their parents. So it's a powerful story. And I'm glad that we are, being a voice and lending out a helping hand to those in need of help right now.
Couple of more thoughts with Ajiona Alexus, who joins us here on the program. Strength of a Woman, as we mentioned, 8 p.m., 7 Central on Lifetime this Saturday. Give us a little bit of a preview of this particular.
Strength of a Woman is 15 years after Real Love. So you see her more evolved just as a woman. You see her more established in her career. But the thing about it is you still see her going through life challenges. And I think that's the reality of life. It doesn't matter how successful you are, who you are. It doesn't exempt you from life. It doesn't exempt you from problems and troubles that's going to come your way. But overall, I think it shows how Kendra and how everyone else out there, we all find our strength on our journey. And that process is ongoing and it never stops. So, I just hope it's also just a light of, keep pushing forward, regardless of what Kendra went through back then. You saw her overcome it. And you see her still overcoming, life troubles, but also finding real love. And I feel like nowadays, our generation, we're just so, I don't even know where our generation stands with love right now, but I think it's also a story to show, real love is out there. Like you said, it's not something that's easy. It's not something that's just butterflies and rainbows, like a line I said in Real Love, but it takes work and it's a process and it's a commitment. So hopefully, people find their strength as Kendra does, the strength of a woman.
So, of course, I got to talk to you about BMF. Like, I was so sad to see Kato get killed off in that. I mean, you talk about a soldier, right? To the fullest. So speak to that in the time you had playing that role and being a part of that cast with BMF.
Yep, I love the fact that, like I said, I'm being a voice for a lot of women. And Kato is someone who is so relatable because stuff like that happens to a lot of young women out here, especially in those type of communities where, like I keep saying, they're unprotected, they're unheard, and there's no pity for them. And so to be able to show it in a light and be a voice for women is what's so powerful. And even though Kendra and Kato are two different, women, it still shows you that it doesn't matter who you are as a Black woman, you're still strong and you still have to encounter and endure so much. And just like Kato, you have to be a chameleon. She had to learn how to survive. She had to learn how to, deal with these men in her world and in her environment that she was dealing with at that time. And the same with Kendra. It's two different worlds, but the same scenarios. And it just shows you the type of things that Black women go through. This is not something like new. It's just the reality. And so I'm glad we can shed light on it and just show Black women being strong as they always are.
What do you like better, the 80s or the 90s?
Yeah. That's so hard. I don't know. I love, like, I'm an old soul. I always say this. I have a young spirit, but an old soul. And I'm inspired by all of them. Like I know all the 80s to all the 90s, especially when it comes to music. Like, me and my mom, she put me on so much. We would go from listening to Sweet Thing by Shaka Khan to Being Caught Up in a Rapture by Anita Baker and Up the Stairway to Heaven by the OJs. And so, my life is inspired so much from the 80s, the 90s, and even, 2000s. So I'm grateful for both, honestly.
Yeah. Last thought, are you a big sports fan?
What? Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Like, it's funny because I don't watch much TV, but the thing I watch in my household with my family is football and basketball. And we love tennis. Me and my mom watch tennis all the time. And I grew up playing basketball. Actually, my brother, he's a football coach, and he also played football in college and high school. So I definitely grew up in the sports world. And if I wasn't in the entertainment industry, as far as, acting, music, I would 100% be an athlete. So I love sports. And I'm very competitive with myself as far as my music and my acting, because I'm like, it's not sports competitive, but yeah, I incorporate that in my my entertainment world.
How was your basketball game though? How was it?
I'm AI with it. I call myself AI. I used to have the headband, the braids, and the arm sleeves. So yeah, I was definitely AI back in my day.
And so what are your teams? What are your favorite teams?
I don't really have favorite teams. I love players, like certain players. I'm just I love LeBron's, Kobe Bryant's. Allen Iverson was my favorite player growing up. Like you couldn't tell me nothing that I was not Allen Iverson. But I have a lot of favorite players out there, not necessarily teams.
Okay, very good. Well, Ajiona Alexus, again, you can check her out. Strength of a Woman, 8 p.m., 7 Central on Lifetime. Also, she's got new music, as she mentioned, also as well. You can find her, on all the music platforms as she joins us here on the program. Ajiona, we really appreciate the time. Continued success in all you do.
Thank you so much. Y'all be sure to stream Made for Me and watch Strength of a Woman June 17th. And thank you so much for having me.